Hello, dear friends, and good evening or night, whatever we say, if other parts of the world. Good morning, good afternoon, if you're listening or watching this on demand, and big hug to Luciana, to Brian Epson, Rita DiCassia, and all of the friends here. Friends, therapeutic journey with the Master. 30 days of good news with the Master. As we learned on day one. Day one was about how do you feel when somebody tells you good news? Joyful? Smiley? Yeah. We have 30 days of good news that can be, just revisited every day for immortality, because these are immortal lessons, therapeutic lessons for us that are in the book Boa Nova by Humberto de Campos through Chico Xavier. The book is already translated into English, fully revised, worked upon by our team for 3 years, and now at the hands of the Brazilian Spiritist Federation, awaiting its publication. So let us pray that it's soon out there. Thank you, Rita. All of us, we have our mission. We're divine. We're co-creators, right? So, for those who are getting in now, just to remind you that this is a therapeutic journey. We're not here to analyze the historical passages, etc. It's about to learn more about the good news of the Master. And guess what? Much of it is in his nonverbal language. As a neuroscientist, paying attention to the neuroscience of emotional body language, which is actually an expression given by neuroscience, emotional body language. We studied this book years ago, 4 years ago, when we started the process of coordinating the translation and the revision, and we observed statistically, in many ways, it was a deep research, the emotional body language of Jesus. It's amazing, it's fascinating. Then we ask, why is it so important? Because science, it tells us that we express our emotions most often than not through nonverbal messages. And Jesus taught us and still teaches us through nonverbal language. Spiritism finally rescues in these revelations a holistic Jesus, a Jesus that is complete, not only through words or deeds, but his emotions and even his thoughts. Because we're going to see Humberto de Campos describing very precisely the ins and outs of it. So, hi, Jussara and Adilson. Thank you, Jussara, for the beautiful flowers. And thank you, Clara, too. Friends, are you ready for today? Day 4. Let's go for the gym of the soul. Woo! Let's go there. Chapter 4 is about Zebedee's family. The father of John and James. Let's listen from Humberto de Campos, because Humberto de Campos is a master. The morning following the first public talk outside the town of Tiberias. Google the town of Tiberias. What a beautiful city. The master approached 2 young men who were fishing by the shore and invited them to join his apostolate. Hi, Marilda. Hi, Aidan. Hello. Hi, Tuani. Good seeing you here. Thank you. So, imagine, picture, projecting your screen. It's blank. Boom, Humberto de Campos is allowing us to picture it. 2 young men fishing by the shore of the town of Tiberias, and the master approached. And Humberto de Campos says that Jesus kindly. You see, the Jesus we are learning here is probably very different from the one we were taught since ancient times. Because Humberto de Campos is telling us that he's always loving, caring, soft and kind, or firm, determined and courageous. But the way his approach is done is with kindness. So important. So important. Hi, Angelita. Sons of Zebedee, would you like to take part in the joys of the good news? Are you feeling the call? Remember when yesterday we stopped exactly at this moment. Jesus is inviting us. You want to be my disciple? And we said, yes. Now he's inviting us again. Throughout these chapters, he is reaffirming to us, through the disciples, we get new invitations. So, sons of Zebedee, would you like to take part in the joys of the good news? Do you? You want to take part in the joys of the good news? Who doesn't, right? Who doesn't? But how did James and John react to this? James and John, who already knew the preachings of the Baptist, John the Baptist, and had heard him the night before, were filled with excitement. Overjoyed, they rushed to Jesus and exclaimed happily, Master, Master! These are souls that are very unique because they quickly recognize and go. Are we like that? When somebody in the Spiritist Center or at a church or at our community invites us to do something good, are we quick to say amen? Or am I always like, yes, but? Because how do we think Jesus invites us to take part in the joys of good news? Gospel according to Spiritism. Through the action of love, charity. So somebody says, please come and help Jussara fundraise for the organization that helps kids in Brazil. Go to her Facebook. Don't hesitate. She has been working on this for decades. Go there and help. Somebody calls you and says, oh, I need to visit this friend who is sick. Oh, but my schedule. No, I'm in. When is that? Okay, can it be a half an hour earlier or later? I'm in. Right? Friends, if we want to take part in the joys of the good news, we need to ask ourselves, are we ready for what the good news are saying? Because the good news are saying, you're a child of God, you're made of love, and you're supposed to work your love, spreading love everywhere through charitable actions, from thoughts to feelings, words, and actions. Oh, Vanessa, is that it? Yes, it is. And we feel joyful. So that's the first therapeutic question for us today. Are we ready, like James and John, to take part in the joys of the good news with Jesus? Are we ready? Okay, so let us meditate. It was as if they were beloved brothers who had been reunited after a long time apart, touched by the power of love that radiated from Christ, an inspiring source of deepest dedication. He is presenting to you and to me, to all of us, this whole Jesus, complete, the holistic expression, one that is deeply dedicated to whom? To everyone, but especially to those who are suffering, who need the doctor. Those who say, I don't care, he respects. After all, remember, in the Gospel, in the Spirit's book by Kardec, when we study the laws of God, third part of the Spirit's book, we observe something that is very important. Kardec asked the illuminated spirits at the time, through the mediums, what is the definition of justice according to the Supreme Spirits? And the answer is to respect everyone's rights. Often we tell ourselves, I'm just, but I'm fair. I'm being fair. And Spiritism redefines the concept of justice. and of being just. He says we are only just when we respect people's rights. So if people want to eat potato, we respect. If they want to eat beans, we respect. If we can't say like, but I don't get it, why they like potatoes more than rice. History, climate, yeah, it's tradition as well. So if people want to be homosexual, heterosexual, so be it. If they want to administer their church or spiritist center in this or that way, we have to respect. We've never heard Jesus bashing anyone because of their choices, because he was just. But he warned us of hypocrisy. He did. He did. But he didn't specifically point out to a person. He said in general. Okay? So he's telling us, he's dedicated to us, and his fire of love radiates. Can we feel it now? Yes, because he lives. He's radiating. And they talk. What did they do next? Listen to this because it's so exciting. They talked with Jesus at length about their enduring union, about the future, about the hope that would carry them forward in the days ahead, while they proclaimed the beauties of the endeavors to the gospel of the kingdom. The two young Galileans had passionate temperaments, probably like us, right? Of course, they're ahead of us or me, but passionate temperaments. Deeply generous, their souls were loving. It feels good. Simple, warm, and sincere. John took the Lord's hands and kissed affectionately while Jesus stroked his soft and curly hair. Did you know Jesus caressed people like that? Probably not. Nobody told us that he was that loving, tender. It's the first time. Spiritism brings like an unprecedented revelation about Jesus. It's beyond miracles. It's beyond words. It's beyond preaching. It's about walking the talk. We talk about love. What is love? What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. Right? Isn't there the song that talks about that? And that's true. The Dalai Lama talks about the deepest concept of ethics being when we avoid hurting people. We have a lot to learn, right? And that's the second therapeutic moment for us. If we really love, like Jesus is teaching us, why do we refuse to caress? Why do we refuse to be tender and kind to people whom we love? Why do we play tough love? Why? It hurts. It doesn't match. No, I'm not going to give a hug so they feel like I'm too soft. Come on. Jesus is showing us that he often was soft. And that doesn't mean that he wasn't courageous and determined. He was more courageous and determined than anyone we've ever seen in this life. And many lives. Right? So, John took the Lord's hands and kissed them affectionately while Jesus stroked his soft and curly hair. Of course they crucified Jesus. Even nowadays, if people do this, they would be like, huh? What? Stroking the curly hair of that man? Yeah. As if willing to pledge his full solidarity, James approached the Messiah and put his right hand on Jesus' shoulders, showing loving devotion. You see the body language? More than words. He was saying, Master, I want to be with you, devoted to you. be with you without words, just putting his hand on his right shoulder. It's important for us to read this book and allow our perispiritual brain, the physical brain, to learn these new pathways, which we call emotional awareness. Emotional awareness. We need to learn how to use our nonverbal language with consciousness, because we often do this subconsciously, but we need to do it consciously. That's a matter of emotional intelligence. And how do you do it? Observing. What am I feeling? What are others probably feeling? Observe. Is it different? And then what do I do next? So I observe first. I train by breathing in and out and observing myself and others. What are the feelings? Paying attention. So right now, I'm talking to this person. Oh, but I'm feeling tense. The other day, a good friend of mine, very hardworking, he was working and working and working and working. It felt like he couldn't even breathe while working, and he felt so depleted. And he said, yeah, I have a hard time breathing while I'm working. See? Breathe. What are you feeling? Tension. Okay, acknowledge it. Tension. What do I do with the tension? Observe it. Where does it feel in the body? And then breathe in and out and substitute a thought that will boost a new feeling. Saying, but I trust that I've worked all my life for this, that I've done my graduate school and I have my titles for it. I don't need it to be tense because I'm doing what I love. I'm doing what I like. And I know I'm not alone. I have good spirits that want to help me. In the book Missionaries of the Light, André Luiz reveals to us Mentor Alexander saying that they, the mentors, are there working on us on our educational path. Good teachers, there are lots of good teachers in the spiritual realm. What do we need to do? Be good students of theirs. How do we do it? Through prayer and trust that we're never alone. Hi Guilherme, hi Felipe. Does it feel joyful when we hear this good news? Oh, yes. So here we see the loving exchange. Though the two new apostles were still very young, they returned home with their spirits taken in by immense joy, and they reported to their mother everything that had happened. You can tell that these were different young men. They were loving, simple, warm, and sincere to the point they came home and shared with the mother everything. Again and again, we have the Spiritist books telling us, giving us tips about family life and about parenthood. This chapter is full of lessons for parenthood, for educators, and for all of us, irrespective of the role. Although the mother was kind and sensitive person, Salome, Zebedee's wife, received the news cautiously. And it's beautiful because Humberto de Campos shares her questioning. She also heard the prophet from Nazareth with his glorious affirmatives the evening before. So she started to ask herself, wouldn't that kingdom promised by Jesus be coming soon? What if the son of Mary was in the city talking on behalf of some prince? You see, we're just like her. We always think we're going to do good works, charitable works, for material benefits. Like, I know people who even use their volunteer opportunities, even in spiritist centers, to build the curriculum for professional purposes. I'm the director of communications of a nonprofit organization. They don't say what it is, but they say that they are. And is that what we're doing? Is that what we're doing here? seeing Jesus as a bridge for material conquests? She's in that page. She's on that page. She's asking, what if, Christ must be the intermediary? You see, the bridge. Yes, Salome. Yeah. And Christ must be the intermediary for an unknown noble who was recruiting followers among the hardworking and strongest men. To whom would be entrusted the highest positions in the new institution? Her dear sons deserved them. She should act fast while there was still time. And she's thinking about, I'm going to talk to Jesus about this. And she was overwhelmed by her maternal dreams. She looked for the Messiah in the circle of his first disciples. Can you believe it? But this is cute. This is respected by Jesus because she's not doing this out of evil. She's doing this out of love for her children, which is commendable. But we'll learn with her and with Jesus that there is a twist to those maternal dreams. Lord, she said respectfully, right after the establishment of your kingdom, I would like to have my sons sitting by you, one on your right and one on your left, as the noblest figures of your throne. Moms. Moms. Oh, moms. But Jesus didn't say that. But he smiled. Yes, Humberto de Campos gives us something we've never heard before. How did he receive that question? He smiled, but he replied respectfully. Beautiful, huh? Smiled, but respectfully. Because we often think that smiling lacks seriousness and respect. Jesus is going to teach us a new pattern, that we can smile with seriousness and smile with respect. It's a new pattern. Our brains are learning something quite new. First of all, we need to know if they will choose to drink of my cup. The mother of the two young men felt embarrassed. In addition, the group surrounding the Messiah was watching her with indiscretion and much curiosity. Understanding that the moment did not afford further explanations, she left quickly and told her elderly husband what had happened. She was watching. You see, she respected him. So she was processing it. Food for thought. At dusk, after finishing another working day, then Zebedee, accompanied by his two children, James and John, went looking for the masters at Simon's home, Simon Peter's home. Jesus welcomed them with extreme kindness. Extreme kindness. We love Humberto de Campos for disclosing to us these details. Jesus did not receive them probably like, yes, come on in. Can you imagine what is extreme kindness? What is extreme kindness? We need to picture it. This is our master. This is our guide and model. He's teaching us way of living. He's saying, when you meet people whom are close to your heart, extreme kindness. Don't be shy in kindness. Abundant. Remember, abundance of love, because God is abundant in love. And Jesus comes as the bridge to God, so he's abundant in kindness. And the old Galilean, Zebedee, explained his reasons with humility and respect. Beautiful. Zebedee, Jesus replied to him, you who know the law and keep the commandments in your heart, do you know any prophet of God who during his time came to be loved by the people of the world? Oh, are you surprised, my friends? Zebedee replies, no, Lord. What did they do to Moses, Jeremiah, and Jonah? All emissaries of the divine truth were mistreated, slaughtered, or they were banished from the place where they were born. On earth, the price of love and truth has been martyrdom and death. Isn't that true? Isn't that true? We may experience that in our daily lives, in some aspects, or we may even do this to others, not recognizing the mission of others as well. How often, for example, we tend, for example, even in Spiritism, we tend to value more Spiritists who live outside of the United States than those who are working very hard in the United States. But I remember when we were told to work on the Spiritist Symposium, in its first years, they said, value the inner talents, those who are inside. Not saying that those who are outside are not, but here, those who work here, to maintain it, work much harder, much harder. Nowadays, it's much harder for several reasons, not only language, but the dynamics of society, etc., including vibrations. So why do we do the same with people in our lives, not recognizing their efforts? Moses, Jeremiah, and Jonah, and we're just like that, repeating, mistreating, slaughtering, banishing from their place of originality. And on earth, the price of love and truth has been martyrdom and death. Of course, when you tell the truth, people don't like it, right? They don't. And you know, by the way, talking about truth, Mentor Joseph asked us to, since this is a therapeutic journey, he asked us to mention this today. You know, because of internet and especially social media like Facebook, many people who are not very well in their minds are creating what they call fake news about people in general. It happened in the election and still happens. So wherever you're getting your news from, in science we learn one rule: observe where it's coming from. Because if it comes from a website that people don't know of, you've never heard before, you don't know who is on the behind the scenes, watch out. You'll be next to believe news that are fake, and people who are creating fake news because they want to distort the truth, they want to make their way for them and for their companions. So be careful. Be careful and let people about that, okay? Because the price of love and truth has been martyrdom and death. James and John's father listened to him humbly and repeated, "Yes, Lord." See? They both were not afraid. Would you be afraid if Jesus told you that if you come with him, you're going to experience these hardships? Would you say, okay, next reincarnation? No, we've postponed for too long. This reincarnation is the ultimate one in regards to our true shift. We have already prioritized money, fame, and status, and beauty, and authority. Now it's time to really go to the real deal, which is our deep essence. It's not external. Emmanuel, in the book Living Spring, we were doing the gospel at home before this session. In the book Living Spring, Emmanuel has a beautiful lesson on chapter 41 that our friend Mark Smith opened for us. And this lesson 41 talks about the fact that when we are distraught, when we are anguished, when we have questions and are in doubt, God in His providence sends renewing aspirations and deeper convictions about life to renew ourselves. And he ends the chapter talking about how God lovingly will only allow us to go through certain things for some time, but then after the storm, there is always the sunlight. So that's a lesson for us. James and John are not afraid because they have the mark of courage inside of them. Hi, Norma. As if taking advantage of the moment to clarify everything that was doubtful, Jesus continued, "The kingdom of God needs to be established in the heart of all men." And he says, "Hard work is my joy. Hard work is my joy. Suffering is my cup, but my spirit is illuminated by the sacred assurance of victory." So he's giving us tip. Hard work. Kardec himself said that through work we establish our beautiful communities. Work. Love work. It's impossible to progress without effort and, you know the sentence, repetition. Effort, repetition. Effort, repetition. Like André Luiz revealed to us in the book Evolution in Two Worlds. So hard work is my joy. Yes. Oh, Norma, you were here from the beginning. Thank you. You're so cute. So hard work is my joy. Do you work hard and feel joyful, friends? Another quiz for us. Yes, another one. Why? Because we need to ask ourselves, if I am able to work hard, it's a sign I have health. It's a sign I have resources. It's the sign that I have means. Through the gratitude, I say, oh, thank God I can clean my house because I can walk, I can use my hands, etc. So, thank God. I have to go to another city and have a business meeting. Well, but what if we didn't have a car? What if we didn't have that job? What if, and then I say, ooh, rejoice. Thank you very much. Rejoice. Because through that moment, I'm going to learn more. And it's the joy of learning, the joy of working. Suffering is my cup, but there is the assurance that we're going to win. Then Zebedee, the father, respectfully exclaimed, and this is a lesson for us parents, to be respectful to the teachers in school, even if some problems show up. Because nowadays we're coming to a point that we're treating educators as if they were our slaves, our servants. And I'm sorry, but they are not. Oh, but Vanessa, I'm paying. Yes, you're paying for service, but they're not fulfilling it. Well, in your perspective, because in theirs, maybe they are. That doesn't mean we're not going to talk to them, but if we do, like Zebedee, we're respectful. Lord, your kingdom is the kingdom of peace and resignation, for which all believers of Elijah were waiting. And Jesus, with a benign smile, added, pause. Let's learn from the nonverbal before the verbal. Benign smile? Benign smile? What does that mean? Let's picture so we can learn it. Benign smile. Often we think smile of joy, smile of sarcasm, but benign smile? That's new. Benign. Benign, something that does good to us. If you smile, it's good for others as well. It promotes goodness. It brings wellness. So next time we smile, let us categorize. Is this smile of joy? Is this smile benign, promoting wellness to others, because Jesus is the master. He's teaching us that there is that possibility of emitting wellness through our smile, but with awareness. Jesus added, the peace of a pure conscience and the absolute resignation to my Father's will are of my kingdom. But people often talk about a kind of peace that is an idleness of the spirit. They also talk about people experiencing a sense of resignation, which is an addiction within the realm of feelings. Jesus is revealing to us some things for us. He's saying, peace comes from clean conscience. And he says, not the one we think of, but I want to be in peace. I want to be in peace, meaning idle of the spirit, idleness, meaning like stagnated. I want to be home on my hammock, watching TV and doing nothing. And we think that is peace. That's not what Jesus is saying. Peace is when we fulfill our duties. Peace is when we do what we need to do to fulfill God's will. And he says, plus we completely surrender to God. But not this surrender, he says, when we numb our senses, when we go through the addictions of our feelings, passions. Hi, João Bosco. Hi, Daniela. Kisses, friends. So, yes, he's talking about a different type of resignation. And did you know in the Gospel according to Spiritism it says that obedience is the consent of our reasoning, whereas resignation, surrender is the consent of our heart. That's why he's saying those who don't know to resign them to the will of God, they are addicted to their own whims. So when our children start learning, but I want to do this, I want to do that, but I want this, it's valid and healthy as long as we teach them to think about, you want this, but what does God want that we do now? We need to coach them, like, think about it. Early, saying, I think God wants us to now go home and eat and take a shower or do laundry or clean or help this friend and that friend or go to the Spiritist Center or to the church or whatever it is, go to school. Oh, no, but I want this. And then we coach them at a second step. I would like, but I need to double check what God wants. I'm not saying they're going to get it from the get-go because it depends on the maturation of the prefrontal cortex, but they may feel the moral authority of God in our lives, the kindness awaiting us to surrender to His love. That's all that is. And Jesus adds, I bring with me the weapons with which people can fight the enemies who subjugate their hearts. I will not rest until we are at the threshold of victory. That is why right now my cup must overflow with gall, bitterness, as such as the enormous efforts that our work demands. He is realistic. But you know, yesterday at the Spirit Side of Virginia, we were studying the book Missionaries of the Light by Andrea Lewis. And we were observing chapter 7, Spiritual Help, how the loving spirits, when they are more evolved, they are kind, but they're firm. And when we work with them, we are not oversensitive. Because sometimes people say, I want to work and I want to help. But when you tell them the conditions, they're hurt. They're upset. They're like, no, like toddlers. I want to do my way when I want. Well, Jesus is telling us it doesn't work that way. If you come with me, this is what's going to happen. And we're not there yet, remember. When we walk with him, we're still going to work a lot. He says, enormous effort, and there will be bitter times. But we have joy, so we have the antidote. But he says, we have the fight, the enemies within us, and Jesus brings us the tools. Hi, Gustavo, Enezelda, and Monica. How do you feel about it? Is it too much, friends? Do you feel overwhelmed by what Jesus is saying? You see that each chapter goes deeper and deeper and deeper. But Humberto de Campos is revealing to us that this master is sincere. He doesn't sugarcoat. He gives us good news, but he says, I assure you that we'll be victorious, but we have to work hard. So if tomorrow we wake up feeling like, oh no, it's not Friday yet, it's not my vacation, Jesus is saying it's not supposed to be, because remember, I count on you to work with me. So when we go to work, bring Jesus with you, because you feel the joy, the courage, and the hope in spite of the enormous effort that our work demands. He says, in spite of the enormous effort that our work demands. He's sincere. He doesn't say, it's going to be easy. No, we'll have to work hard inside of us. Here. People are not evil. Ignorance is within us. Right? But you're joyful. I can tell. We feel the love. We feel the hearts. And he continues, as if he wanted to add to his clarifications. You see, he's clarifying. He's bringing light to us. That's why we're feeling all excited, because Jesus is joy. And he's going to tell us something that is very deep. Deeper and deeper and deeper. Telling about ourselves. He says, there are powerful men in the world who die comfortably in their palaces without peace in their hearts. True. No wonder when I used to do my walks when the weather allowed me, outdoors in nature, going through the neighborhood, huge homes, God bless. And Joseph said, don't only walk with your legs, Vanessa, walk with your thoughts too. Don't be idle on your thoughts, work with them. And pray for the people who are living in these homes. They may be beautiful on the outer side, but you have no idea about the dramas on the inside. So walk with your physical legs, but also with your thoughts. Pray for them as you walk. You're passing by beautiful neighborhoods. Pray. Because Jesus is saying, we may be there, but the peace is not there. They die in despair and carry with them the dark night in their conscience into the eternity of the lower zones. There are fighters who die in different kinds of battles. Oftentimes, they are defeated and humiliated. However, they maintain complete serenity of mind because throughout the good fight, they kept their thoughts on the love of God. Thank you, my friend Daniel. So, friends, he's saying that maybe to the world we are loser. Big deal. But deep inside, we are at peace. How often at work people are going to tell you, oh, we're going to start a new grant, a new project, more money. And you can tell that this is not going to work. That your schedule, you're committed to much more than just that. And I remember Mentor Joseph saying, it's up to you, Vanessa. You know the priorities. And I remember when I voluntarily decided to give up on another grant. And I said to my colleague, I give it all to you. And he said, but Vanessa, you had the ideas. And I said, I don't mind. The ideas are not mine. I didn't tell him the reasons why I was saying that, because we don't talk religion there. But I said, I trust you. You're more experienced than me. You can take the lead and invite other people. I cannot take another project now. Because I was committed to the spiritist works too. I need to balance. Some people look at us and they think we don't balance, but that's okay. We're learning too. Hi, Luz Estela. So friends, Jesus is teaching us that to the world, we may seem defeated and humiliated, but inside we are serene in our minds. We're not saying we may be there yet, but we're saying we're rehearsing it, making healthy choices. However, they maintain the complete serenity of mind. There are others who applaud evil. They present a false attitude of tolerance, but end up suffering the effects of destruction tomorrow. The true disciples of the truth of heaven do not approve of wrong. In them, okay, they do not exterminate those who support them. You see? They work for the good because they know that God is also working for it. The Father does not tolerate evil nor the battle because he loves his children very much. Therefore, you can see, Zebedee, that our kingdom is a place of constant work, which is realized for the good of the whole of humanity. These are the good news tonight. It's almost 1 a.m. here in the East Coast of the United States, and people are like, oh, but I'm so tired. But remember, constant work. When you go to sleep, when I go to sleep, don't waste your time asking prayers that you use the sleep wisely, like the prophets of the ancient times, as St. Augustine explains very well in the chapter Sleep and Dreams in the Spirit's Book, second part of the Spirit's Book by Kardec. Sleep and Dreams, saying, the reason why evolved spirits want to come here to help us because they are sure that during naps and sleep, they can emancipate themselves and refresh themselves and talk to superior spirits and gain instruction from them. Let us constantly work. Boom, 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 boom. Consciously too. The body's going to be there restored. But we, spirit, go places. Voluntarily now. Consciously. What do we need to do, we may be asking? Pray. Pray before you sleep. If you can't resist to sleep when you lay down, pray when you're preparing to sleep. In the shower or eating, start praying, mental prayer. Oh, dear protecting spirit, please help me so I go there with you to the schools of the spiritual realm and I learn and I practice serving others and I also be treated in what I need to be treated. Okay? While the two apostles stared at Jesus with calm, blissful eyes. Is that how you're feeling? Calm and blissful eyes because Jesus is there. Zebedee contemplated Jesus as if the greatest prophet of his people were in front of him. Great kingdom! You see, he is a father who loves his children and loves God. Many parents, when you tell them that their children are going to work hard, they're like, no. Another type of job. No, that's too hard. How do we dare tell people you're working too hard? God bless the people who work hard. If they need to do so, it's a blessing. If our children need to work hard, wonderful. Because otherwise, what are we here for but to fulfill God's will? And one of his laws is the law of work. What is the law of work about? Kardec asked, what is the definition of work? Something completely different from what we've known that far. In 1857, we've got to know a new definition for work. Work, according to Spiritism, is any useful occupation. Right now, are you working? Yes. Am I working? Yes. Because this time is useful for us. We're working. But Vanessa, I'm listening. No, you're not. We're doing this together. And you're working because you're using usefully your time. You're working. So when you read a book, if it's a good book, if it's useful, it's work. When you're cooking, it's work. When you're meditating, it's useful occupation of the time, work. And that's what Jesus is saying. Constant work. When you take a vacation, if what you do is useful, you're working. Oh no, Vanessa, I need vacation from work. But not the work definition we are granted by the good spirits. We don't want to take vacation from occupying usefully our time. That, no. Because the good news is that when we are constantly working, we're in synchronicity with Jesus. Right? Logged in. The account of Jesus. What is the password? Work and love. Work and love. Work and love. Can be work with love, love, work, whatever combination, million combinations, possibilities, but it's work and love. And then we're logged in and we're chatting with Jesus all day long. And it feels good. Doesn't it? Yes, it does. So, the fisherman said blissfully, Lord, Lord, we work with you. We'll preach your gospel and we'll increase the number of your followers. Haha. You think we're going to end the chapter without another lesson of good news? No, this chapter has lots of good news. If it's not enough 1 or 2 or 3, we have one more now. Be prepared. Because Zebedee is saying, we're going to increase the number of your followers. Listening to those last words, the Master clarified, meaning brought light to that, putting emphasis in his expressions. So let us picture how he said it. Listen, Zebedee and Vanessa and Norma and Gustavo and Luz Estela and all of us who are here and who are going to read this book or listen to this. Our cause is not a matter of numbers, but of the truth and of the good. Allow us to open up parentheses that are very pertinent to the Spiritist movement in the world. When Spiritism began in France, the centers were small. When they began in Brazil, they were small. They increased. In the United States, we're growing. But it's smaller than in Brazil, for example. And many people come and like, oh, but if you were really doing a good job, this would be filled. I'm sorry, but I don't believe that. You know why? Because this is not about an outward call. It's an inward awakening. It's the inner awakening. So, Jesus is saying our cause is not a matter of numbers. And Spiritism is the promised consoler, is Christ that lives again and comes to us as he said, I will send you the promised consoler that will be with you until the end of times. Spiritism. The Spiritist ideas that may have other names as well. But our cause is not about numbers. And there are people, forgive me, nothing personal, who are doing Spiritist activities in other languages and not the languages of the country because they say to me, and I've heard this personally, Vanessa, I'm doing this because if I do it in English in the United States, I won't have as many people and people are not going to pay the bills of the center. Please go read Paul and Stephen because Paul taught Peter a lesson. You're going to welcome the Pharisees because they pay the bills of your church? That's wrong. You're compromising the works. No. Do it right in the language of both realms. Because also the discarnates cannot understand, the majority of discarnates cannot understand the language other than the language of the country. In the United States, it's Spanish and English. Portuguese is for a super minority. I'm saying super because we are not minority, we're super minority. The minority of the minority. Food for thought, nothing personal, but 2016, 21st century, we really need to be committed. Our cause is not a matter of numbers, but of the truth and of the good. Of the truth, that's why we say things and people don't like it. Because the truth, the good. One day, I'm sure this will be the cause of the whole world. Of course it will. Some people came to me and said, but Vanessa, you know, a speaker from Brazil came to me and said that Americans are not ready for it. So they don't know Spiritism. Because Jesus is saying here that this cause is for the whole world. But until then, we need to crush the serpent of evil that is under our feet. Under our feet, meaning inside of us, with us. Right? Exactly. Thank you, Adilson, for sharing this. Yeah, do little things, but do them well. Do them with coherence. At least we need to strive for coherence, as Mentor Joseph says. We're not there yet, but we're working. That's why we're together, right, Adilson? Lies and tyranny demand armies and kings, swords and immense wealth to dominate other individuals. That's exactly what we're seeing nowadays in the politics of the United States and the world. Love, however, the essence of all glory and all life, needs but a heart and knows how to be happy. Love needs but a heart and knows how to be happy. Deception claims an endless line of defenders to spread destruction. But it is sufficient to have but one good person to teach the truth of God and to praise His eternal glories, thus comforting the infinite legion of His children. Friends, He's telling about the power of one. We don't need a million. We need one aligned with Jesus, aligned with God, with coherence. And Jesus asks Zebedee, who will be the greatest before God? A crowd who gathers to enthrone tyranny, thus trampling the masses, or a well-intentioned individual who saves a boat full of fishermen with a simple message? Or a well-intentioned individual who saves a boat full of fishermen with a simple message? Who do you want to be? The crowd that is trampling the masses, like we're seeing nowadays in the news? Fake news, people creating discords and slander and calumny. Or be well-intentioned and helping a few with a simple message, the message of love. Jesus is telling us, let us revisit this teaching. Excited by the wisdom of those contemplations, Zebedee asked, Lord, will then the gospel not be good for everyone? Exactly, right? Oh, not good for Americans. And Jesus comes tonight. Hallelujah. We're going to listen, we hope, the speakers of the spiritual realm spread the good news to everyone, because he replied, in fact, the message of the good news is excellent for everyone. Everyone. However, not everybody is sufficiently good and fair to accept it. That is why the gospel brings with it the leaven of renewal. This too is why I leave joy and energy as the best weapons for use by my disciples. receive, open your hands. Jesus is giving to us two weapons. His words, forgive me, but weapons to destroy the inner enemies, joy and energy. He's giving to us. Let's receive joy and energy. Joy, energy. Joy, energy. I'm just playing with you so we really feel it. Joy and energy. Joy and energy. Okay? He keeps on explaining. And he says, beautifully, we will rejoice during the times of temporary pain and loss, because during those moments, God's loving heart will say to you and to me, come, my son, my daughter, I am with you in your sufferings with the light of my teachings. We will find the gods of easy triumphs because we know that the work of the world belongs to God. Understanding His wisdom summons us to complete it, building His kingdom of eternal happiness in the depths of our hearts. Jesus is telling us that God is going to be with us through the sufferings. And we're going to fight the gods of easy victories, easy triumphs. Jesus remained silent for a short time. James and John drew near, magnetized by his powerful and affectionate gaze. See, masculine and feminine again, powerful masculine, affectionate feminine, powerful and affectionate. Perfect balance in Jesus. We are mesmerized by Him, powerful, but soft and loving, unable to resist His own emotions. Zebedee closes his eyes, his chest swelling with joy, and before him he saw a vast spiritual future, the kingdom of Jesus, unfolding to infinity. He seemed to hear the voice of Abraham. Everybody bless the Master in the future. Until then, his old heart only knew about the rigid and fear law of Jehovah. Now Jesus revealed to him a loving God, a loving Father, and a friend to his children. The eyes of the old fishermen of Capernaum began to tear as though swelling from his chest, and he knelt down. He's crying out of joy, and anticipating him, Jesus said, Zebedee, stand up. The children of God live standing up for the good fight. Then entering the small room, the father of the apostles took the right hand of the Master and moistened it with his tears of happiness and gratitude, whispering, Lord, my children are yours. Parents, educators, let us dedicate our children to Jesus. They are not our children. We often remind Virginia, remember when you promised Jesus you would come and help? Remember? And that's not pressure. That's love. Saying, remember, don't distract yourself. Because we do. Jesus gently appealed to Zebedee's heart, patted his white hair. Can you visualize Jesus doing that? And said, do you think Jesus said, don't cry, Zebedee? No, he said the opposite. Cry, Zebedee. We love this Master. He's so unique. He's saying, cry. Because your tears today are beautiful and blessed. You feared God, now you love Him. You were lost in your human reasoning regarding laws, now you have in your heart the fountain of living faith. How are you feeling? Joyful? Lessons after lessons and lots of good news. If you want to cry out of joy, cry, because now you love God. Now you love God. That's what Jesus is telling us. It's okay. And He's teaching us to give our children to God, to Jesus, so Jesus becomes their master and model, the GPS for their souls, the doctor for their painful days, the one that delivers good news, new perspectives when we need it the most. Full of love, Rita Di Cassia. Friends, ready for the constant work of the night if you're watching this after 1 a.m.? Ready, set, go! Go to sleep. Let us go. And if you're going to work, when you're watching this, go to work. Go to do what you do with Jesus. Constant work. Always rejoicing for effort and repetition of love every day. Big hug of gratitude. May Jesus inspire us today and always, and hopefully tomorrow we will continue day 5, 30 days of good news with the Master. Thank you, Rita. Thank you, friends.